Testing mic. Testing. Testing.
Test. Testing mic 1 to 2. Test. Test. Ta.
Dekat lagi. Macam tu.
Ta.
Cakap je. Okay.
Testing mic 1 2 3. Test.
Jangan tarik situ.
Test.
Testing. Good morning and welcome to the judges, teachers, guests, and participants of Persis 2026. Now, I'd like to introduce our judges today. The Chief Judge is Ms. Nur Azah binti Aziz, Civil Engineering Lecturer, Kedah Engineering Matriculation College. The second judge is Ms. Nurul Shahidah binti Muhammad Nur from Sekolah Menengah Sains Sultan Azlan Shah, Seratas. The third judge is Ms. Mahiram binti Razali from Sekolah Menengah Sains Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah, Semsas. And I, Nurani Hani binti Amir Syariuddin from Sekolah Menengah Sains Juli, Kelantan. While the timekeepers, Nur Kistina Batricia binti Muhammad Shahrizan and Muhammad Fakrul Adik bin Muhammad Muhayyadin are from Akademi Sains Pendang, Kedah. Now, allow me to read the rules. Each team should consist of presenters and a technical assistant. The presentation must focus on a sub-team assigned to the team. The duration of the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes. The bell will be rung once at the 9th minute and twice at the 10th minute. A question and answer session will be conducted after each presentation. Now, I would like to invite Sekolah Menengah Sains Labuan Smaxel to present.
Testing. Bismillah. Bismillah.
Imagine this. One plastic bottle may not be enough to change the world, but a million bottles, they can transform an entire community. The same principle applies to recycling. The solution is not simply placing more bins around the island. Rather, it is about creating a culture where people are aware, responsible, and empowered to take actions. Before and after, something become waste. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I bid to honorable judges, respected teachers, fellow participants, and everyone present. We, as a youth at the helm, will introduce you Beyond the Bin, Transforming an Island, one action at a time. This title reflects our commitment to the sub-theme, Community by Design, Youth Creating Spaces That Thrive, which align closely with SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. Our project focuses on one important challenge, to increase youth participation in proper waste management and recycling practices. Before we begin, allow me to introduce our team. We consist of 3 student researchers and 1 dedicated teacher advisor who guided us throughout this journey. Today's presentation is organized into 9 sections, taking you through our research process, finding proposed solution, and its potential impact. Ladies and gentlemen, here's where the story begins. Every year, the world generates more than 2 billion tons of municipal solid waste, and this figure is projected to reach nearly 4 billion tons of solid waste by 2050. As urban population continue to grow, effective waste management is no longer an option. It's a necessity. It plays a vital role in reducing environmental impact, improve public health, and creating more sustainable communities. Let us look at a successful example. Germany is widely known as a global leader in waste management. In 2022, this country achieved a municipal waste recycling and reuse rate of approximately 69%, one of the highest in the world. More importantly, this effort helped to prevent around 1 million tons of greenhouse gas emission, demonstrating how responsible waste management can contribute to environmental sustainability. However, the situation in Labuan presents a different reality. Although recycling facilities and systems are available, public participation remains low. As a result, Labuan continues to rely heavily on its landfill, whose capacity is expected to run out over time. This prompts us to ask one critical question. Why are people still not actively participating in recycling? To answer these questions, we adopted a mixed method research approach. We use both qualitative and quantitative data through interview, questionnaire, and online research to gain a deeper understanding of the issue. So, our research objectives are clear. We are going to identify the key factor contributing to improper waste handling. Second, propose an incentive to see waste management effectiveness. And last but not least, to assess the impact of the proposal. With that, let us begin our journey beyond the bin.
To truly understand why Labuan continues to rely heavily on its landfill, we took a step back and asked a simple yet powerful question. Why? Through a why analysis, we peel back the layers of this complex issue, uncovering the deeper reasons behind it. As we dug deeper, 3 key factors stood out. Firstly, limited public awareness. Secondly, the absence of visible reward system. And thirdly, a lack of monitoring for recycling bins. But we didn't just stop there. Instead of relying solely on our assumptions, we sought real-world insights. We spoke directly with the representative from Labuan Corporation to better understand why recycling participation remains low within the community. What we discovered was eye-opening. Simply placing recycling bins in neighborhoods isn't enough. The real challenge lies in human behavior. Many residents lack awareness and motivation because they don't see any benefits or incentives from recycling. To broaden our perspective, we con- to broaden our perspective, we turn our attention to students. As part of our pilot project in Labuan Science School, we had conducted a Google Form survey to see if similar issues exist amongst them. The findings reinforce our earlier research. Most notably, 62% of the respondents identified limited access to recycling bins, followed by a lack of recycling facilities, 59.3%, and limited public awareness, 53.4%. Taken this together, the findings suggest that improving recycling facilities doesn't mean that it will increase the public participation. It requires more. It requires greater accessibility and sustained public awareness. Therefore, these insights become the foundation for the development of our innovation. In summary, both the survey and the interview points to the same conclusion. Recycling isn't just about infrastructure. It is also about the people. Motivation, awareness, and consistent monitoring plays a crucial role in shaping behavior. Now that we have that in mind, our aim is to focus on tackling these three core challenges. Firstly, improving the recycling awareness and knowledge of the public. Secondly, to create a much more meaningful and visible reward system. And thirdly, to ensure proper monitoring for recycling bins. By adjusting these areas, we aim to inspire real change and make recycling a natural part of everyday life. Now that we have a clear view of what the problems are, we would like to propose an idea, a system where real-time waste management in Labuan can be tracked by everyone. During our research, our team had trouble in finding enough information for references. Only by doing in-depth research do we finally become aware of the recycling circumstances in Labuan. This proves how residents in Labuan lack exposure to recycling knowledge. So, in this system, we would like to change that by adding three key components. Firstly, regular recycling knowledge input. Secondly, real-time data of recycling rate. And thirdly, map recycling bin. We aim to solve the three core challenges by increasing the awareness of the public. Secondly, tracking real-time data. Secondly, track recycling rate of residential areas. And thirdly, prevent bin contamination during regular collection time. To test the effectiveness of our system, we had conducted a pilot project in Labuan High School. It consists of all Form 1 until Form 5 students for a duration of 1 month. Based on past experiences, recycling was only done during certain events, and when those events had ended, the recycling practices simply vanished. Thus, our target is to increase the recycling rate of school as well as making recycling a habit among students. Ladies and gentlemen, please take a look at the flowchart in front. This is the collection process of our system. Firstly, the students store recyclable waste in their class. Then they drop it off at the collection zone. The waste are then brought to the recycling center of our school. Then there, our team will check if the waste are properly sorted. Then we calculate the recycling rate of the class, awards points, display the data on a graph, and announce the top performing class during morning assembly. Here is a montage video of our project, compiling all the 4 components in our system. Firstly, regular recycling knowledge input. Secondly, access to recycling bins. Thirdly, ensure proper monitoring for recycling bins. And fourthly, the reward system.
Next, we move on to assess the impact of the proposal. Please take a closer look at this bar graph. In just 1 month, Labuan Science School have achieved an increase of 20% on rate of recycling. This clearly shows that our pilot project had increased the participation rate on recycling and improved the waste management in our school. Like any innovation, our proposal faces several challenges. The first is cost, as developing and maintaining the platform requires funding, technical expertise, and regular update. The second is slow visible impact, since behavioral change takes time and cannot happen overnight. Finally, the success of our proposal depends on a strong collaboration between the government and society. Successful waste management is a shared responsibility, and long-lasting impact can only be achieved when both parties work together.
In conclusion, our proposal demonstrates that meaningful changes begins with small action. By empowering youth participation in recycling, we can increase recycling rate, reduce landfill dependency, and overall contributes to SDG 11 target 11.6. Together,
Let's go beyond the bin, transforming an island, one action at a time. Thank you.
I would like to invite judges to ask questions.
Okay, first of all, congrats to your so good presentation so far. Okay, for me, it's a good start to gain awareness in your school by doing the project. Congrats. Okay, you can proceed your project. Oh, already done now? Already run? Not yet. Just propose.
No, we already done this in our school.
Okay, already
And
done.
we are planning to continue it.
Yes, correct. Okay, good. Okay. So my question is, how do you plan to scale the app to the broader Labuan community in a big scale, right? Okay. It's quite difficult, I think lah. For me, it's quite difficult to gain awareness, right? So
Okay, thank you for your question. So first, by doing our pilot project in our school, we already test the effectiveness of the practicality of our system. Then how are we going to upscale it to the community? Firstly, we are going to collaborate with Labuan Corporation, the one that is governing the Labuan. Then we are going to gain assistance from technical expertise to make the app. That is all.
Hi. You have mentioned in one of your slides there, in terms of the challenges, right? One of the challenges is cost-related concerns. So as youth, right? With who do you want to get help more in terms of the getting more funding?
Thank you for the questions. So to answer the questions, how can we make the app better? Is we're going to cooperate with the government and stakeholder, and they can give us a sponsorship and can help us to do the apps. And the cost-related concern issues can be prevented or can be solved. Thank you.
I like your project. So make sure your proposal concept must be in a good one. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Hello. 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 Hmm?
Now, please welcome Sekolah Menengah Sains Hulu Terengganu Sahut to present.
Respected judges, members of the floor, while many of us grew up laughing and playing freely with friends, not Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am so excited to introduce the infinite part, safe and sustainable for the heart of Kuala Berang, because we as youth wanted to create a space that thrives as a community.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we could get started, let me quickly introduce the brilliant minds who made this project possible. Firstly, we've got Raisha as our main team presenter, myself, Iskandar, as the team rapporteur, which I will also be presenting today. We also got Fazlin as the team moderator. Last but not least, we've got teacher Ivy as our lovely team advisor.
So being under the sub-team 5, which is sustainable cities and communities, most of the issues that we'll bring up today are mainly focusing on the SDG 11.7. And under the SDG 11.7, there will be several targeted groups. So before we could dive in deeper, let us all truly understand what's the meaning of youth at the helm, steering the world towards a resilient and sustainable future. So it basically means youth driving change by redesigning public spaces to be safer, more inclusive and resilient for everyone. Now, almost all playgrounds are built to fit only for able-bodied children. Hence, it requires so many standing and climbing on the equipment. But why do we focus so much on the wheelchair users? Well, in Kuala Berang, there's a pretty high percentage of the wheelchair users. Moreover, it is one of the targeted groups in the SDG 11.7, followed by women, children, and senior citizens.
Moving on to one of the most critical challenges identified in the deficit, specifically impacting women and children. Poor lighting, hidden corners, and lack of emergency features make the park a security risk after dark. We should also be looking from the other perspective, which give a big impact towards our elders. The social isolation problem. A critical lack of smooth walking track forces our senior citizens to stay indoors. Why? Because this broken pathway send them a silent and cruel message. You don't belong here. Go back to your home. And that is why nowadays it is really hard to locate nearby elders at Taman Rekreasi Kuala Berang because they don't feel safe here. And before we could dive in any deeper, I want every people in this room to truly understand that our team choose to upgrade a space instead of creating a new one because it supports SDG 11 far more. But we will be appreciating about this at the end of our presentation, ladies and gentlemen. So we will be moving to our research objective, which our team had prepared 3 main objectives. The first one is to determine factors contributing to inaccessibility and unsafe condition at Taman Rekreasi Kuala Berang. Secondly, we explore its impact on visitor safety and well-being. Last but not least, we as a youth provide the infinite park solution to curb the problem.
Exactly. Now here it comes, ladies and gentlemen, the problem statement. A non-inclusive playground unintentionally excludes people with disabilities, not to mention the intrusive tree root intrusion, the aggressive tree root intrusion are being one of the obvious obstacles not only to the wheelchair users, but also to the senior citizens.
Unsafe atmosphere during nighttime, poorly lit dark zone, and zero emergency help. These two situations might seem small, but it creates a seriously big problem to the park visitor, especially during the nighttime.
Now, moving on, we've done several types of research methodology like questionnaire, research on scholarly articles, and we've even interviewed over 25 people. So here are some of the sample questionnaires. Moving on.
the findings, just like how we thought, ladies and gentlemen, there's over 80% of locals, not including tourists, frequently visited the Taman Recreational Kuala Berang. Almost 30 respondents agreed on to upgrade the playground to be more inclusive. Over 22 respondents agreed on to install safe lighting and CCTV. Now, if all these issues are being heard loud and clear and actually get solved, ladies and gentlemen, it will not only benefit one, but all of the targeted groups in the SDG 11.7.
All right, moving on to the interview result. Like Raisha had mentioned earlier, our team had interviewed 25 local, and the finding was most of them felt safe, but only during the daytime. This means the nighttime was never created for them because some of them experienced being harassed by unknown strangers, and lots of them requested for more spotlight installation.
Now, if all these issues does not get fixed as soon as possible, by the time I finish this sentence, 50% of disabled children has been excluded from the playground. Hence, it is inaccessible. All of them are forced to watch instead of participating. How sad, ladies and gentlemen.
When the sun goes down, the park goes completely dark, no lighting and zero security. This creates a playground for criminals, trapping women in constant fear of harassment and assault. Their only choice to avoid the park entirely. Not forgetting about our elders, which the broken pathway forces them to stay indoors because they are afraid their morning walk would simply turn into a trip to the hospitals.
But good thing is, ladies and gentlemen, we came prepared. Now introducing the 360 loop slide. Let me tell you, its key features. It comes with a low
Features an ergonomic climber with
making
mobility
it easier
devices.
for wheelchair users to transfer their
route,
body from the
set their
wheelchair
pace,
onto
take
the slide.
control of
Also
every
comes
moment.
with rubber roots, extra support for the children to go up, and comes as a cherry on top. It also comes with an extra long
That's a lift
landing zone,
point.
wider, smoother, making it suitable and safer for both able and disabled users. Moving on,
Time.
one of my
Rebrand.
favorite inclusive equipment, which is the wheelchair swing users. Yes, wheelchair-friendly swing. Sorry, it is purposefully designed to be looking like a bucket and comes with an extra ramp so that the wheelchair can easily transform themselves from the ground and into the bucket. So these innovations are meant not to be thrilling, not to give them a thrilling experience, but enough for them to feel welcome, included, and seen in the playground.
All right, now let's talk about how the Guardian Glow AI system actually works. To make it simple, this operation is broken down into 5 distinct phases, which it starts during the daytime with phase 1. During this phase, the solar panel will soak up sunlight and fill up its energy until it reaches 100%. Then it is followed by phase 2. When the sun goes down, the motion sensor will sense the drop in light and will automatically switches itself from charging mode to night mode. Then we hit phase 3, which is the standby mode. During this mode, the light will stay dim during nighttime, but the AI cameras and motion sensor are still awake to detect if there are any nearby visitors. Finally, we hit the main action of our phase, which is the dynamic lighting. During this phase, the motion sensor will sense the movement of any visitors and will automatically increase its brightness until 100%, creating a safe and clear pathway for every visitor during nighttime. Then the phase 5, which is the energy harvesting. When there is no one nearby, the system will automatically dim its light to conserve energy. The benefit is, first, it is environmental friendly. Second, it enhances long-term cost efficiency. Last, it supports SDG 7. All right, ladies and gentlemen, cement is totally rigid because a solid cement doesn't move. This means when a tree root grows beneath it, it has nowhere to go. As a result, they ended up penetrating right to the pavement, leaving a cracked pathway, which is a very serious issue that need to be solved right away. Therefore, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce the rubber paving solution. But before we could dive in any deeper, I want to make it clear for everyone why the tree root grows to the direction of the cement surface. It is because the cement surface sometimes contains water on top of it. This means the tree root grows to the direction of the water to receive it in order to continue its living processes. That's the absolute reason behind why the cement crack. Not to mention, the rubber paving allows water to pass through it, making sure the tree root will grow deeper inside the soil and further from the rubber paving. And rubber paving is highly flexible. This means when a tree root grows beneath it, it will gently bend over the tree root like a smooth wave, making sure it grows towards the opposite direction from the rubber paving. And this isn't just an experimental concept. The rubber paving is a globally proven solution trusted by major international frameworks. According to the data from the USDA Forest Service, this technology has achieved massive market adoption worldwide, commanding 45% utilization in North America, 36% across Asia Pacific, and 27% in Europe. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to sum all this up, our solution is key to bring the world towards a more sustainable, resilient, and healthier future. When we scale this up, we're doing a lot more than just deploying a product. We're actually tackling 3 global goals at once. First, we build a smarter communities which is supported under the SG11. Second, we prioritize human life. Last but not least, we power it all with responsibilities.
Now, let me once again reaffirm, ladies and gentlemen, that our solutions that we provided today are focusing on to upgrade and not creating a new space. Because creating a new space is like building a whole new colony in Mars. It is unrealistic. Also, it requires a massive amount of money. But instead, we as youth, we wanted to upgrade this space. We just use the place that has been established ever since we were born. Meaning its sustainability is guaranteed. We just need to improve on how it works in order to make it inclusive and sustainable and resilient for everyone. Mind you, there's only 4 years left in order for us to achieve the sustainable development goals. So make questions. Are we going to find a new place on Earth, or are we going to upgrade on how it works? And with that, the Infinite Park project has come to an end.
Safe and sustainable for the heart of Kuala Berang and yours too. Thank you for listening.
I would like to invite judges to ask questions.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
One question from me. Will there be a special park for those group of people, or it will be combining for the special need people and also and other people who are using the same park?
Okay, in order to create an inclusive playground, there's no such thing as a special needs area. To make it inclusive, all groups should be included. So there won't be a separate part for these special needs people. They will gather in one place. We just need to upgrade on how the facilities works. But it is still suitable for both able and disabled user.
Okay, would that be more dangerous for them, because there will be normal people who use the facilities for them, the facilities for disabled, but then being misused by those normal people?
No. It is not dangerous, because an inclusive equipment are built for both able and disabled. So it is safer even for kids, because kids, they usually play the slide like super roughly, and they're being a little naughty sometimes. But with the slide that I have shown before, with an extra landing zone, and it is smoother and wider, making it safer and actually safer for able-bodied children, and it's not dangerous at all.
Okay, so great presentation. Congrats. Okay, so many ideas you give for this. Okay, so I know this study is still proposal based. Okay, so have you engaged or already discussed with local authority regarding your recommendation?
So far, I've discussed about this thing with the Department of Welfare, which is Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat, and they say if we actually wanted to make this dream comes true, we can actually make a proposal and send it to them, and they can actually help us to find a fund, or maybe work together with the Kuala Berang local district. To the local district government to make this dream actually come true, to find the funds and to actually upgrade the playground to be more inclusive.
Yes, please do this. Yes, I so cool lah. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for the question though.
Thank you.
Check, check. Check, 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 check. Check. Chup. Check, check.
Okay. Check.
Next, I would like to invite SMA Negeri 1 Purworejo, Indonesia to present.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Warm greeting from us, SMA Negeri 1 Purworejo, Central Java, Indonesia.
Unggul berkarakter mendunia.
It is a great honor for us to participate in this event and share our idea with such inspiring audience. And we hope you're all doing well and feeling as excited as we are. However, beyond our excitement today, there's an important reality that many cities still face. Imagine living in a city where walking feels unsafe, public spaces are inaccessible, and youth have a little say in decisions that affects their daily lives. So this is why youth involvement is increasingly recognized as a key element in achieving SDG 11 sustainable cities and communities. Through our presentation, Youth as Agents of Urban Transformation, Building Green, Inclusive, and Walkable Public Spaces for Sustainable Cities, we explore how youth can actively contribute to creating sustainable urban environments. Alright, before we dive deeper, we would like to introduce ourselves. Hello, my name is Rahmasani Chadewi, and these are my colleagues. This is Olive Naila Azza, and then Faiza Faiduzara, and also our mentor, Mrs. Juliati. And today, we would like to take you on a journey to discover how youth can become agents of urban transformation and help shape sustainable cities for the future.
Okay, what is public spaces? Okay, let's talk about it. Public spaces are areas that are freely accessible to citizens, such as parks, squares, streets, promenades, waterfronts, and public facilities. They support social interaction, ecological sustainability, economic and recreational activities, making them an important part of urban life. Based on our observation, we found several issues. Some public spaces no longer fully support social interaction effectively. Environmental management is often poor, and damaged facilities discourage recreational activities. The image shown here is an example of a neglected public spaces with damaged facilities and graffiti. Such condition can reduce the attractiveness and the usefulness of public spaces. The condition of some public spaces has reduced comfort and accessibility for pedestrians, especially for people with disabilities. As shown in the pictures, obstacles such as damaged pathways, blocked sidewalks, uneven surfaces, and inadequate facilities make it difficult for people to move safely and comfortably.
As reported by Compass ID 2026, sidewalk infrastructure in Indonesia is still not optimal, and the culture of walking remains relatively low. In fact, there are significant investments to support motor vehicle mobility, while facilities for pedestrians have not received the same level of attention. As a result, many public spaces are less accessible, less inclusive, and less comfortable for people to walk and interact. This imbalance not only affects for pedestrians, but also contribute to environmental challenge. According to the Asian Transport Observatory 2026, greenhouse gas emissions from Indonesia's transport sector have shown an upward trend in recent years. Therefore, creating greener, more inclusive, and more walkable and people-centered cities is becoming increasingly important to support long-term urban sustainability.
This crucial problem brings us directly to what this research intends to achieve. Specifically, we aim to analyze youth perceptions of the current state of public spaces and identify strategies employed by youth in creating green, inclusive, and walkable public spaces. To achieve these goals, we adopted a mixed methods approach using three main instruments. First, we distributed a survey to 112 respondents aged 14 to 30. And also, we took part in the Kelana Kota organized by Jogja Kota Ex-Pedestrian Jogja community. Second, we conducted interview to gather expert insights. We spoke directly with community representative Abi Yahya Hakim as a coordinator of Pedestrian Jogja community and Muhammad Ashraf Irfanda as founder of Jogja Kota community. Finally, we analyze scholarly articles on Google Scholar and review official websites like Pedestrian Jogja and Teens Go Green Indonesia to support our findings with solid literature.
According to our survey, 49.1% of young people believe that public spaces are still unsafe and uncomfortable. This means that nearly half of the respondents feel that current public spaces do not fully meet their expectations and their needs. To address these challenges, several youth communities in Indonesia, such as Pedestrian Jogja, Jejak Kota, and Teens Go Green, have taken action through environmental campaign, public education, and urban advocacy programs.
Through our analysis, we found that these communities base their movements on three core urban values: building green, be inclusive, and making cities walkable. Let's look at how they put these values into practice. First, under building green, communities like Teens Go Green Indonesia work to build a culture of environmental awareness. They engage youth directly through hands-on activities such as river cleaning, tree planting, and environmental education. These actions also help reduce greenhouse gas emissions by increasing green spaces and encouraging more sustainable environmental practices. Second, public spaces must be inclusive. From our interview with Mr. Abi Yahya Hakim, as a coordinator of Pedestrian Jogja community, we learned that their initiative focused on creating friendly spaces for all age while catering to the unique needs of each participant. To strengthen this inclusivity, Ruang Jogja Kota also initiated Ruang Cerita program where young people can gather, share stories, and discuss urban issues. Finally, to make our cities truly walkable, Pedestrian Jogja and Jogja Kota community actively run underground walking programs. These include Kelana Kota, Tamasya Jogjalan, and Wayhem Laku, which successfully invite the public to reclaim and experience the streets firsthand.
This experience shows that urban transformation begins with participation. When young people are empowered to take action, share their perspective, and work together through communities, they can become a driving force for greener, more inclusive, and walkable public spaces. After all, meaningful change does not start with massive projects. It starts with people who care enough to take the first step. In conclusion, young people have great potential to become agents of change in creating sustainable cities. However, this potential can be maximized when they are actively engaged through communities that provide opportunities for participation, collaboration, and action. Therefore, empowering youth and strengthening youth communities are important steps toward achieving sustainable urban development.
This initiative contributes directly to SDGs 11, sustainable cities and communities, by reducing pollution through environmental campaign, promoting accessibility by encouraging more inclusive public spaces, and supporting the development of greener urban environments. This effort can create greener, more inclusive, and more sustainable cities for everyone. To strengthening these efforts, we propose several recommendations. First, strengthening collaboration between youth, community, and government. Second, maintaining the consistency of community program. And third, focus on membership regeneration. Community should encourage and prepare their new members to ensure that their initiative continue to grow and remain sustainability. By implementing this recommendation, public space can become safer, greener, more inclusive, and more sustainable for everyone.
So that's all from us. We hope this presentation inspired us to see youth as active agents of change in creating sustainable cities. Thanks for your time and attention. We are from
SMA Negeri 1 Purworejo, unggul berkarakter mendunia.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I would like to invite judges to ask questions.
Hi. Can you explain more on your interviews with community founders? Who are that community founders here?
Interview.
Okay, so we interview Mr. Abi Yahya Hakim. Wait. This. He is a coordinator of Pedestrian Jogja Community. And also we interview Muhammad Ashraf Irfanda. He is a founder of Jogja Kota Community. So that's a different community.
Oh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
I would like to know whether this Jejak Kota community of pedestrians and Teen Go Green, right? Did you mention what Teens Go Green is there in your abstract? And then I would like to know whether this is already exist or you are proposing on this.
Okay, thank you for the question. So we mentioned that 3 communities in our abstract, and then Teens Go Green is a community that already exists, and it's and it start from 2011. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bismillah.
Bismillah.
Now, I would like to invite Sekolah Menengah Agama Persekutuan Labu to present.
Every town has their own spaces, but not every spaces becomes a place where young people feel they truly fit in. Before I get more into that, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Assalamualaikum, and a very good morning and greetings to the respected judges, teachers, and fellow participants. We are representative from Smart Labu, and today we are proud to present our study, the Labu Link Up from Untapped Spaces to Thriving Youth Places. Before we begin, the central question that has guided every step of our project was, what if the spaces that young people need are enclosing us but are not being used, connected, and well maintained in a way that helps youth thrive. So now, standing here, I am Aina Najma as the moderator and Zaidan as the presenter, and together we'll guide you through our project journey, beginning with our project definition and problem statement, then followed by our approach implementations of the objectives and methodology that has guided throughout our study, and we'll also be sharing our findings and the innovative solution we have developed, and of course last, the conclusion. So now, let us begin with the definition. So Zaidan, what is actually this Labu Link Up Plan is about?
Thank you, Aino. So Labu Link Up Plan is a youth-informed plan to reconnect, upgrade, and revitalize Labu's existing places into safer, cleaner, and more active youth-friendly places. So the underlying words here are our three main missions. First is to reconnect. This means linking up Labu places so youth people can move around Labu more safely and more comfortably. Second is upgrade. This means we should upgrade what already exists, such as cleanliness, lighting, walkability, visibility, and more. And lastly is to revitalize. This means is to bringing back life to underused places through youth activities and social participation.
So, when we say from untapped spaces to youth thriving places, we mean transforming spaces that already exist but are not being used fully into places youth can gather, contribute, and belong. Now, moving on to our main problem, based on our study, we identified three key issues.
So the first issue is underutilized youth spaces. Ladies and gentlemen, what if I tell you Labu already has public spaces, commercial areas, and even facilities, but some of these areas are not active or attractive enough for young people to use it regularly? The second issue we have is disconnected public spaces. Some spaces in Labu are not connected well by safe, clean, and comfortable pedestrian routes. When areas are not connected, younger people may find it harder to use the area and not confidently to use it. Lastly is limited youth social participation. Based on our responses, Labu youth likely to go to nearby areas such as Seremban or Nilai to socialize. This means that Labu needs to engage more on the local places so youth people can socialize and stay in Labu.
So, our local problem can be summarized clearly. Labu has public spaces, but not enough youth places that are safe, connected, active, and inviting. However, this is not only a Labu problem. Labu is our case study, but this issue is much, much bigger. Across Malaysia and around the world, many communities already have public spaces, but not all public spaces are meaningful youth places. Some spaces exist physically, but they do not function socially. Another issue is that small towns may risk losing youth activity to larger nearby centers. And the last important point is that youth voices are often missing in community by design. This is why our project is youth informed. We did not only design for youth, but we listen to youth and the community, then use their feedbacks to shape the Labu Link Up Plan. So now, these problems connects to our SDG, which focuses on safe, inclusive, accessible, and sustainable communities. Based on these problems, our project has three objectives.
The first objective is to identify the safety issues that can affect the use of public places. The second objective is to evaluate the accessibility and connectivity of public spaces around Labu. And our third objective is to develop solutions that can encourage young participation and community engagement.
So these three objectives are directly connected to our theme, Community by Design, creating youth spaces that thrive. Next, how did we actually conduct this study? We used a community-based mixed method approach by combining four methods, which are survey, site observations, interviews, and secondary sources.
That's right, I know. So firstly, we use a survey through Google Forms to collect responses from students, local youth, residents, and even visitors. This helps us to understand their views on cleanliness, safety, walkability, visibility, and whether the places had potential to become a public use spaces. Second is site observation. We visited selected public places so we can observe their real observation. Third, we conducted interviews to local users and stakeholders. This gave us deeper insight into how people experience Labu and why local youth like to go to Nilai or Seremban to socialize other than Labu. And lastly, we use secondary sources to connect our local findings with global issues, especially SDG 11.
So now moving on to the most important part of our study, the findings.
So we can see 37.5% of respondents thinks that safety is the main concerns. This is important because safety can affect how people feel comfortable using public spaces in Labu. Next, people also think that poor lighting is one of the main issues that people are not using Labu as their main place.
So now our findings tells us that people are not asking for unrealistic mega projects, but for simple and meaningful improvements. Now, based on our findings, we proposed the amazing plan, the 5 Labu Lingkap plan. So, as we have defined earlier in our presentation, Labu Lingkap is a youth-informed design strategy. It is built on 5 links. To make our proposal stronger, each link is connected to our local findings and with global examples. Each example shows that simple ideas such as cleaner spaces, safer streets, walkable routes, and lack of and active community corners are already being used around the world. And our aim is to adapt these principles in Labu in the most practical and realistic way. So the first thing is cleaning.
So the cleaning is inspired by Singapore community responsibility. So what we can do in Labu is we can add more bins, we can add more bins, and we can make such campaigns such as Jaga Labu Kita.
Next, the second link is SafeLink.
So SafeLink, we inspired by Paris Safety Streets. Paris Safety Streets, we can have better lighting, visibility, and better lighting.
Third link is WalkLink.
WalkLink, we can make clear walkways, safety crossings, and better wayfindings.
And the fourth link is T-Link.
T-Link is inspired from Paris 15-minute city. We can make shaded seating and use pocket spaces for youth gathering.
And last link is Activity Link.
Activity Link, we get this inspiration from UN Habitat Public Spaces projects, which we can invite the youth to create public spaces, which we can make youth-led events, art walls, mini markets, and community activities, so youth can feel they are more invited into the community.
So now, to conclude, our findings shows that safety, cleanliness, lighting, pedestrian comfort, and lack of youth activity spaces affect how young people use and experience in Labu. So what should we do?
So first, we should reconnect spaces by improving wayfinding and visibility. Second, we should upgrade existing spaces such as improving cleanliness, lighting, and comfort. And lastly, we should create local identity features and youth-led programs to activate youth spaces.
So our project is not building from zero, but unlocking the potential that spaces in Labu already has. And these are the sources that help throughout the building of our study. And that's all from us. Thank you.
I would like to invite judges to ask questions.
How we identify the species? You nak tanya? Asal nak tanya? Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the presentation.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
All right.
wabarakatuh.
In your presentation, you keep talking about the spaces, right? Can we know specifically what are the spaces that you are pointing on? What are you going to link up? Specifically, because your place is just Labu, right? Okay. So what are those places? To be specific.
Bismillah.
Nak tanya macam mana yang dia boleh kata Labu tu sangat interesting place. Kan? Macam Pekan Koko dia bilang kan. Macam okay, all the spaces kan. Okay, let me simplify. Can you give us the name, specific name of the spaces that you have? You want to turn it. You want to link those spaces up because you want to link the spaces, right? So can you give me the specific place?
Sorry, thank you for your question. So we acknowledge this as our research limitations because we did not go to every spaces in Labu, but we select few spaces which are KTM Labu and the Pekan, which are the like shops over there. And we also go to the schools over there such as SK Labu Ulu and Shaharuddin. SMK Shaharuddin. And we also did some more discoveries throughout the police officer at the Labu police station.
So have you stated in your paper about the location, about the certain place, you focus place? Have you stated in your paper?
In our paper?
About the place you focus on? Because for me as a mother, of course I'm worried about my son or daughter study at Labu. Like there is nothing special at Labu. Kan confused dah. Okay, so it's okay. Nice recommendation. So you just highlight which place you want to focus on. Not the whole Labu, right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
Now, please welcome Sekolah Berasrama Penuh Integrasi Sabak Bernam, Intisaba, to present.
Ladies and gentlemen, please close your eyes. Now imagine you're at a playground with cheerful atmosphere and kids chasing one another. Now look at the screen. This is what a playground will look like in the next few years. Abandoned, no people, no life. Maybe because they lost interest or they would rather spend their leisure time on screen, gadgets, and video games. But before we explore further and dive deeper into our topic today, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to our esteemed judges, accurate timekeeper, and to all members of the floor. I am Husna. With here is Imran, Shatira. We're all from the SBP Integrasi Sabak Bernam. Today, I will completely change your perspective and also widen your eyes into a whole new understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, looking at our title today, what is your first thought? When you first see the word Minecraft, you might think it's just a pixelated game. But then you see the real world. We are here today to bridge the exact gap and also to prove by empowering youth as co-designers will thrive communities. Our project is perfectly aligned with the sub-theme given, community by design, youth creating spaces that thrive.
Two numbers define our problem. The first being that 52 of the residents around the world say that their spaces do not support a thriving community. And the second being that even though 70% of all users of public spaces are under the age of 20, yet 0% of committees that design these spaces have any youth representatives. Moving forward to our objectives. The first is to analyze the socio-spatial factors that contribute to problems such as youth exclusion and spatial poverty, where I define socio-spatial as the relationship between the people and the spaces, and spatial poverty as the public having access to a space that gives little to no benefit that it may as well not exist. Moving forward to the SDG our project touches. The first being SDG 11, where we support this because our research encourages the youth to make a space that is inclusive and can be sustainable for everyone. And SDG 9, where we use Minecraft as a tool that is already familiar to use and turning it into a serious planning urban planning method.
Now, let's move on to the methodology. We use mixed method, which is involve both qualitative and quantitative research. Let's move on to qualitative research first. We've done research analysis and also aspect interviews. For research analysis, there are two main sources we've been used. The first one is the Her City project by UN Habitat. If you want to scan, okay. The second one is the Block by Block project, also by UN Habitat. If you wonder what UN Habitat is, it is a United Nations agency that are responsible for sustainable urban development.
Moving forward to the expert interview, we interviewed two lecturers, which are Dr. Nurul Husna and Dr. Hanisa, both senior lecturers in UiTM Shah Alam. And they confirmed that our work was in fact grounded in facts and confirmed that what we searched is the same as what professionals see in the real world. Moving forward, this is the quantitative part of our survey, of our research, which is first, we spread the survey around Sabak Bernam. And what we got on age was first, the majority of our respondents were under 20 years old, which is very impactful because that is what our research aims to that is the main stakeholder for our project. Second, on support. As you can see, 80% of our respondents say that they would support youth design. So you can see that that most residents, they agree that they want youth-led designs. Moving forward on satisfaction, as you can see, 52% of respondents said that they don't believe that their area supports a thriving community, where 82% said that that the community either partially or fails completely to support a thriving community. Moving forward to what makes spaces unsafe. As you can see, poor lighting dominates, with 80% of respondents saying that is a problem, followed by empty spaces, lack of seating, and dirty surroundings. And this is a problem, then that is very significant, because it proves that the problem is not because the community doesn't care. Instead, it is because the design does not fully support the community. As a conclusion, we can see that the residents of Sabak Bernam, they support youth designing the spaces, not because the adult-led approaches have not fully supported their community. To back this up with numbers, we present to you the social return on investment methodology, where we say that every $1 invested in this project will give a $3.50 in measurable social value. So this is where it comes from. The first one is that the community that does not have to spend more on repairing the space. Second, on the stewardship dividend, where we say that youth-built sites, they reported $0 in vandalism, where government-built sites, they have to spend $20 in vandalism repairs. And the third, when we have good lighting and good seating, it can allow the vendors to open at night, thus growing the local economy.
Now, let's talk about the research outcome, which obtained from the research analysis I mentioned before. The first one is the Her City project. Since we want to curb the exclusion of youth in urban planning, this project tallies with our topic today. So, UN Habitat's Global Project Manager stated the best way to build sustainable cities is to let young women and youth to design their own spaces. Next slide. This is one of the most successful place of the project, which is Truong Dong Ward in Hanoi. This place was co-designed by youth, co-created by architects, and co-validated by an expert. This is another place that also designed by youth. Now let's talk about the block by block project. This is a partnership involving UN Habitat and Mojang Studios, where communities use Minecraft to visualize ideas for public spaces. As you can see, these are the locations of UN Habitat block by block project.
Now, for further proof, this is also a project of block by block in Pristina, Kosovo. The residents of the community, they rebuilt their national library in Minecraft. This is the digital one, and this is the real one. You see the similarity proves that Minecraft can actually replicate the real world, the real environment. Okay, moving forward, in Kirtapur, Nepal, the community redesigned their historic public square in Minecraft. Now, here is the public design, and here is the real image. Do you see that when given the appropriate tools, youth can actually build something very significant? Moving forward, as we can conclude.
To conclude our presentation today, let us look back at every problem statement that we've mentioned before. The first one, spatial poverty is real. When we ignore the voices of youth, we build spaces that are disconnected with the young generation. Second one is the Minecraft bridge, which connect the digital imagination to physical real world. And the lastly is the co-creation, which is the combination of youth, architects, and experts will build a thriving communities. That's all from us. Never been so proud to propose. Assalamualaikum and thank you.
I would like to invite judges to ask questions.
Okay, good presentation. Congrats. Okay. So I try to review. Okay, I try to review. You mean your Minecraft is a way to encourage youth to design. Is it? Am I right?
Yes, we use Minecraft because it's already a tool that the youth are familiar with, so that they can encourage the youth to redesign their community spaces.
To motivate them.
Motivate them.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So now, I'm looking at your abstract as well as your presentation. Are you trying to say that there is a clash between youth and adult in creating or designing the spaces for this, like her city or whatsoever?
Thank you for that question. So basically, there's not a clash. It's just that what the adults design is not what the youth want. So when we say that it doesn't fully support it, it doesn't mean it means that what the adults designed does not fully support a thriving community.
Do you think that authority doesn't play their role in building all those public spaces? Because everything is in the budget, right? Government budget. Does it actually? You mean the role of the government itself when they want to set the public spaces for certain parts or certain places? They always have some kind of budgeting, so on and so forth. So don't you think that government has already planned it well?
We do agree that they budget it well, just like we prefer the budgeting to actually go to something that the youth want, not what they think they want. Because as you know, the current spaces are designed by architectures, not the youth that actually use the space. Using our project like block by block, which uses Minecraft, as we shown you before, like the residents, they rebuild their community space, so they can use that space to edit what they want and then build and to add what they want in their community space. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Test. 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 Okay. Oi. point collab. Nanti ada collab.
Langsung mulai.
Now, I would like to invite SMA Edu Global Indonesia to present.
Yan. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, and judges. Today, we are here to present about our research project, which is the development of microbial-based fertilizer from volcanic soil bacteria for peatland restoration. Before we move on, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Baruna Mahardika Andita Putra.
Subagio. My name is Miracle Muhammad.
Let's take a look into Indonesia. In this map, we can see that Indonesia has one of the most phytotropical peatlands in the world. Yet, millions of hectares are biologically dead. Why is that? It's because of the toxic acidity of the soil. Basically, the soil is so toxic, the standard biofertilizer cannot keep up. It hits an impossible wall. That's why our project breaks this deadlock by taking advantage and looking at Indonesia a ring of fire biological diversity. We have come to a solution to have a solution for this acidic ecosystem. We have to take a look into our most extreme one in Indonesia, which is in Kawah Putih, Mount Patuha, which contains a rare and native microbes that is pre-adapted to do acid and heat. Let's take a look into our background. In our background, we have found two journals, the journals of Anderson's and Lina. On the Anderson's journal, it basically provides the crucial scientific baseline for our problem statement. It proves that Indonesia peatlands are degraded. That's why it freezes the natural microbial activity and freezes the nutrient cycling of the soil. On Lina's, it basically connects the bridge between two distinct scientific fields, which are peatland conservation ecology and volcanic extremophile microbiology. It contains a robust, scientifically backed foundation that is going to be the entire trajectory of this research. But the main point is hidden in Indonesia, biological diversity. Basically, the main point is we extract the native microbes from Kawah Putih and inject or spray them into the degraded peatland so they can bypass the chemical barrier and become more fertile than the degraded one. Let's take a look into our research objective.
Now, moving on to our research objective, we have our problem statement, which consisted of two questions. Now, the first one asks us about how well does this mix of volcanic microbes can free up trapped soil nutrients in highly acidic peatlands, and how can these local volcanic microbes speed up the breakdown of organic matter to reduce soil acidity and then moving on to our objectives is to develop a targeted peat biofertilizer. What this means is we will make a special volcanic fertilizer to tailor specific to combat the constraints of degraded peat soils, and then to restore degraded peatland ecosystem, essentially speeding up the breakdown of organic matter, reduce high soil acidity or low pH, and unlock essential nutrients for sustainable peatland rehabilitation. Moving on.
In this experiment, we had simplified the methodology into 4 simple steps. Step number 1, soil sampling and site selection. We chose Mount Patuha, specifically the white crater within it, as our site where we collect samples from 2 different locations, one within the crater and one around it. And then we test the soil for its acidity with a pH meter. Second is microbial isolation and cultivation. We cultivate the bacteria and microbes within the soil, injecting nutrients, and leave it in isolation. Leave it in isolation where it can proliferate for 5 days. Third is quantification and morphotype analysis. Once the span of 5 days had ended, we individually count the quantity of the colonies, and under a microscope, we identify and analyze the morphotype of each bacteria. Lastly, biofertilizer formulation and peatland testing. In this step, we extract the bacteria and formalize a biofertilizer where fortunately we're able to bring a small sample, as you can see here, where we apply it on peatland either in the form of spraying or injection. Well, whether in this case we choose spraying.
Now moving on to the outcomes. For the outcomes, we have 4. The first one is high microbial abundance. Basically, the Patrick plates that we tested on showed that are 2 numbers to count. So, but this doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It proves that even in those harsh environments, the bacteria actually thrive in high numbers rather than the low numbers. The second one is geochemical filtering effect. Because of the harsh environment, basically it restricts some of the biological diversity. That's why the volcanic soil yielded 2 morphotypes, but the agricultural soil yielded 2 more morphotypes than the volcanic one. It means that because of these harsh environments, the bacteria basically die, leaving only the most durable and fit to survive in those harsh environments. The third one is the dominance of bacillus strains. On our lab analysis, the volcanic soil was heavily dominated by these bacillus strains. Specifically, the extremophile, which are the acidophilic and thermophilic bacillus strains that are fit to survive in those harsh environments. The last one is successful peatland restoration. The biofertilizer that we have created will successfully neutralize the pH level of the peatland to a more neutral level, accelerate decomposition, and release the essential nutrients so the soil can become more fertile than the degraded one. This picture is the peatland that we tested it on. The initial pH level is 3.2, but after we apply the biofertilizer, it goes up to 0.8 bar 4.0 in the span of 2 weeks. This is very effective compared to the natural reaction. Let's move on to the conclusion.
And now we have reached the conclusion of today's presentation, and I'm very happy to share it with all of you. Now, normal biofertilizers fail in highly acidic damaged peatlands, which stops the land from healing. To fix this, an acid-surviving mix of microbes from coal putty is used to successfully reduce soil acidity and speed up the breakdown process of organic material. And then, after adding those microbes, the peat soil becomes less acidic, has more available nutrients, and can break down organic matter faster. This offers a highly effective, affordable, and a natural way to restore tropical peatlands without using any chemicals. Moving on to the Q&A.
To conclude our presentation, our project doesn't just mean we have to rely on synthetic chemicals to fix our planet, create this ecological crisis. We can build a bridge between the past peatlands of Indonesia and the volcanic biological diversity to make a chemical-free blueprint. Thank you for your time and consideration for listening to us. We are now open to any questions and we will answer them briefly.
I would like to invite judges to ask questions.
Okay, thank you. May I know what are the benefits of your findings to relate to sustainable cities?
Thank you so much for your questions. To relate it to the sustainable cities, we basically because of the degraded peatlands, they are biologically dead, so we cannot use them anymore. So if we connect it to sustainable cities, we can make the standard soil become we can revive the dying ecosystem. That's why to connect it to sustainable cities, we can build so many like plantations rather than the dead ones.
Hi. What makes you interested to carry out this experiment? What is the purpose of your research or study? Research study.
Thank you so much for your questions. Why we choose this? Because in Indonesia and many other countries, degraded peatlands are a pretty high, problem. Because even though they are vital, but if they are dead, we cannot use them. So we are trying to revive the dying ecosystem from the ground up by using the standard because the standard biofertilizer instantly gets killed by those pH level of the degraded peatlands. We make a biofertilizer that can withstand those pH level, so it can revive degraded peatlands to become more fertile than the last one.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for that highly interesting presentation. A big thank you as well to our panel of judges for sharing their time and valuable insights today. This concludes our presentations for this session. Thank you all for your wonderful participation and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.